Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on this special show on NewsX. We are going to be talking today about FIRE. Yes, FIRE is a blockchain ecosystem that is helping power the fifth industrial revolution. Joining us to further decode this are three very special guests. We have with us today Pratik Gauri, founder and CEO of FIRE. We also have Pratik Dwivedi, founder and CMO of FIRE, joining us live, and Vilma Matila, founder and CBO of FIRE, is also with us on the program. Thank you all very much for being with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Uday, for having us. It's a pleasure.
Let me begin with you first, Pratik, or rather both of you are Pratik, so I'm going to have to specify. Pratik Gauri, tell us a bit about what really FIRE is, and also what inspired the name, because the name is pretty catchy. What inspired the name?
So FIRE basically stands for the fifth industrial revolution. So it's FIRE, and that's how the name comes from. And fifth industrial revolution is a concept that I've been personally promoting for the last 15 years to prove the thesis that you can make more money if you do more good to the world. So the more good you do, the more money you make. And to prove that thesis, I ended up setting up 8 multi-million-dollar businesses in the last 15 years, all around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So ideally around health tech, climate tech, renewable, solar, wind. And while I was doing all of that, I was able to impact tens of millions of people, generate tens of millions of dollars, represented companies at World Economic Forum Davos, Core World Forum Oxford, Nobel Peace Prize Forum Oslo, and did all of that. And last year, I found myself in COVID at an inflection point where how do you scale this concept of a fifth industrial revolution to 1 billion people? And to do that, to impact 1 billion lives positively, in fact, the goal of FIRE is to create 1 billion impact millionaires. And that's how we started the company FIRE. It's the world's first sustainable blockchain ecosystem, which of course is India's first layer 1 blockchain as well, which has embedded 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals into the consensus. So the way any blockchain works, it's governed by a consensus mechanism. So we've embedded 17 UN SDGs, which are again global goals by the UN, which are health, climate. So SDG 3 stands for health, SDG 4 stands for quality education, SDG 5 stands for gender equality, SDG 6 stands for clean water and sanitation. So we embedded all of them into the consensus. And second, we have basically scraped data from 650 ESG sources, which are environmental, social governance goal sources, into the consensus. So anytime any government, any Fortune 500, any individual, any celebrity, anybody uses our consensus and our blockchain, think of us as an infrastructure. When you ride on that infrastructure, you build a decentralized application on that infrastructure, you move the whole world from a for-profit paradigm in the age of fifth industrial revolution to a for-benefit paradigm in the age of fifth industrial revolution. And that's what FIRE is ideally doing by creating the fifth industrial revolution.
Pratik Dwivedi, let me get you in here as well. Why do you believe it's important, to build this sustainable blockchain in the world of today?
Well, sustainability has been an issue in the world for a long time. And it has been a major issue in the blockchain world because the extent of sustainability in the blockchain space has been people are buying carbon credits or people are donating to charity, which is fine, but we wanted to create something that is more proactive than it is reactive. Charity, everything else, while being good, is a very reactive measure. So that is why we created this, because there was a dearth of anybody bringing in technology to have proactive measures to tackle sustainability at its core. And as Pratik mentioned, that our consensus algorithm, the way the core of the blockchain works, brings the world more and more towards sustainability through SDGs. So why is this important? Because there is no other way for us to go. I think I very strongly believe that we are at this exponential graph at the tipping point where in the future sustainability is going to define profitability. There is no other way for the world to go. So for instance, like you're making way more money selling electric cars than you were making money selling petrol cars right now. You're making way more money selling juices as compared to Coca-Cola. So this is just a total shift in the world, and we just want to be the leaders of that shift so that we position ourselves as the authority in the future to come.
Okay, Pratik, I've often heard you speak about the sweet spot between making money and also doing good. You've touched upon that in your previous lectures. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Just elaborate on that point a bit.
Yes, so fifth industrial revolution in fact is a concept which is trying to prove the thesis that the more good you do to the world, the more money you make. So when I started my journey, people used to consider social entrepreneurship synonymous to charity. But I always believed that there is a sweet spot between purpose and profits, and that's the way the world is going to move, and that's why I started promoting the idea of a fifth industrial revolution. And when you talk about this, even but what we are doing at Fire, right? So we have created, as I said, so we have a blockchain ecosystem. We have our own layer 1 blockchain. We have our own NFT metaverse marketplace. We have a wallet. We have a digital university by which we are imparting education about Rust and languages like Substrate to kids. So through all of, and a venture capital fund. So through all of that, we are trying to make the world go from a for-profit paradigm in the age of fourth industrial revolution to a for-benefit paradigm in the age of fifth industrial revolution, which, by the way, is working at the intersection of purpose and profits, and again trying to prove the thesis that the more good you do to the world, the more money you make, and the less good you do, the less money you make. So our consensus basically financially rewards and incentivizes businesses for following sustainable practices. So there, for instance, if you're using geothermal and I'm using coal, you would be financially rewarded for following that practice.
Okay, that's very interesting. Let me bring in Wilma as well into this conversation. Wilma, let me draw you in here on Web 3.0. Now, we often hear about it, but can you tell us a bit more about Web 3.0, what it is, and also more specifically about how Fire is participating in it as well?
So what is Web 3? Web 1 was read, Web 2 is read and write, and Web 3 is read, write and own digital assets, engage in a process, have ownership of your own identity, of your own finances, and have private keys for the assets that you own. Therefore, what does this mean? The world is moving from a digital identity, which is centralized currently in the governments and data ownerships by enterprises, to a more decentralized form where you yourself own the identity you have, own your emails, own your pictures, own all the data that you produce, as well as the assets that you own. You own them yourself. And in Fire, you asked, how does FireChain participate in Web3? FireChain is all about user-centric systems. So Fire is providing a base layer for users, which is decentralized, trustless, permissionless, as well as interoperable. So, for example, in FireChain, you can send funds to your email address or web address. You can send funds to your phone number, and you are the owner of all of those assets. It's peer-to-peer transactions. There is no third party involved. This means that we provide a complete package of secure personal data just for you. We just provide you the platform, you own the data. In terms of handling the identity and assets of unbanked, this is a new way to how we can give to 1 billion people around the world who are currently unbanked the opportunity to be their own bank, as well as get digital self-sovereign identity, which works in their financial daily financial transactions as well as identification model. Therefore, currently there's over 1 billion people in the world who do not have access to identity. We grant them the identity. Also, there is over 1 billion people in the world who are unbanked. In addition to giving them identity and banking solutions, they got other financial solutions such as, for example, credit, and they also regain back civil rights such as, for example, ownership of the land itself. Therefore, this benefits each sector of the humanity. Each sector is positively affected due to the fact that everyone gets to own their own piece of what they have. And finally, Web3 will make both more transparent and accountable, both individuals as well as governments themselves, because of course blockchain as a decentralized public ledger is both immutable as well as auditable. It also makes possible for public authorities to be more effective, be more transparent, and be more fast in their daily actions. Yes, so I would love to recommend everyone to take a step towards Web 3.0 and be your own bank, be your own identity.
Well, let's talk about funding now. Reportedly, FIRE has raised over $120 million already, and that's pretty quick. There's reportedly more on its way. This is already capital that's been committed to you. What does that really tell you about, the idea behind this venture that you've come up with? Also, what does this say about investor confidence? Do you believe it's a team that's garnering the confidence? Do you believe it's the idea that you've put forth that's garnering the confidence? And also, more importantly, where do you plan to use these funds?
So yes, with respect to capital commitment, we started our journey about 6 months back. We raised our first round, which was $21 million in October at $110 million valuation. And we just secured another $100 million capital commitment from private equity investor GEM from the US. And this basically obviously indicates, as you mentioned, investor confidence in the idea of the fifth industrial revolution, number one, which we are trying to prove that, you can actually make more money by doing good to the world, number one. So that's where the world is moving, which is great. Second, it also indicates confidence that you can have a sustainable blockchain, because the world, see, blockchain and Web3 is great, but the biggest problem in Web3 or blockchain itself has been sustainability. And we are trying to cater that problem, which is, by the way, a very expensive problem to solve. And thus, we need that kind of money to solve that problem. Third, you asked me, where do we use that funds? So, of course, a big credit goes to the team that we've been able to build. We are now a team of about 100 people spread across India, US, UAE, Europe. And the kind of team that we've built, we have about 45 to 50 people in our tech team. We have about 25, 30 in the marketing team. So we are actually expanding our team rapidly, specifically technology and partnerships. Because, so one part is building a technology which the world can use, and that's why the majority of the funds are going there. In fact, Rust developers that we hire are very hard to find, number one. There's scarcity, and of course, they're more expensive. And the second, of course, we are doing a lot of partnerships across the world. We've done some MOUs with India around predictive policing, smart policing, land registrations. We're doing we've done one in the US with City of Alliance in the state of Nebraska. We've activated Nigeria. So all of that with the partnerships team, we're allocating a lot of money there as well.
Okay, why don't you also weigh in on that, Mr. Dwivedi?
Well, there's not much else to be said after the CEO has said so much. But I think in terms of the confidence in the investors is coming from the fact that we're trying to solve such an expensive problem. Nobody has dared to solve this problem because there has not been an easy solution. You are solving the problem of sustainability. There's multiple caveats to that. How do you define sustainability? How do you choose the technology? Who is building this? What do the experts and the academics say? Everything has to come together into one system. So I think because we were so dedicated to solve this from a consensus level, taking all the universities and research along with us, that is why you see this being so easy for us in terms of capital, because financial capital always follows great ideas. And nobody ever made something crazy with goals that were not lofty. So.
Okay, great. Well, you're staying with you're very well known in the affiliate marketing circle. So I have to ask you this question, since you've touched upon sustainability a lot. What role does digital marketing play in making sustainability cool? Well,
that's a very interesting question. I mean, I've been trying to find the answer to that for quite a long time, but I feel marketing is going to move to the metaverse. And if I start explaining metaverse, I'll be opening a new Pandora's box. But let's just say that we'll all be living in the metaverse very soon. Now, to me, that is a very sustainable form of marketing, because if you have a billboard right now in Times Square or in CP, there is one billboard and there's a lot of people that are watching it. So there's a lot of waste. But imagine in the metaverse, there's a billboard at the same equivalent of a billboard. Somebody from a village in Jammu and Kashmir versus somebody from Mumbai is seeing the same billboard, but they're getting a very catered message to what they are and who they are. That saves us so many, that saves money, that saves cost, that saves space. So that is a very small example of how digital marketing will help sustainability and make it cooler, because it is in the metaverse, but end up also saving so many resources in the future and have it laser targeted. So it's just basically optimization of everything in marketing in the blockchain space.
Okay, coming to you now, Pratik Gauri, on, of course, the fact that FIRE has pretty quickly also built use cases, both in India and the US. Tell us about what FIRE is doing there.
Yeah.
And what's yielding the success.
So one part is, of course, because of the concept which is stating, and we have embedded sustainability. So that was a big reason, by the way, that a lot of the traditional players like governments or Fortune 500s or family offices weren't using blockchain because it wasn't sustainable. I mean, most of the other blockchains, if you see other layer 1 chains which are our competitors, they're not sustainable because they are not using a consensus which basically solves the problem of sustainability at the core. And since we have done it, and that what's followed is a lot of success in terms of use cases. So we are working with the Muzaffarnagar police, for instance, in India, on developing a smart police system. We are working in the US with the city of Alliance in the state of Nebraska, again to develop a predictive policing, smart policing system, also integrating it with land registrations. We have signed an MOU with the Agriculture Ministry in Nigeria to do the same. We have signed, we are working closely with the Fortune 500 Huawei now, and we just, in fact, we were just before here, we in fact met Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, and the founder of Netflix, Mark Randolph. And Pratik, how cool was that? Because when we met Mark Randolph, he said, we were like, you've built something massive. How do you see the future of blockchain? And he's like, the future of blockchain will be amazing if you embed sustainability, and that's what we are doing. So, you know, when those kind of people instill confidence, that really helps us and motivates and inspires us to do more. But yeah, use cases are currently growing. We are concentrating. Also, we have developed a digital university now. So that will we are sponsoring a lot of hackathons across the world in universities. And the reason we are doing it, we want to train kids specifically in their 20s to learn more about Rust and Substrate, which are languages which are used. And then, of course, one part of our system is also to hire them into our workforce and basically move the whole world towards sustainability, because we need a lot of human capital. Yes. In terms, when you also talk about capital, by the way, it's relationship capital, human capital, and then financial capital. So that's what we are trying to unlock. We have unlocked financial capital. Now relationship capital and human capital, we're trying to unlock both of them as well.
Those are the next steps. On that note, I have to ask you, you're not feeling very healthy today, but you are pretty conscious otherwise about your health. How is that, impacted and motivated your passion towards the health of the planet as well?
Well, the way I look at it is that I balance my macros, which are protein, carbs, and fats, right, in terms of dieting. So I think the macros for the world are the SDGs, is the same equivalent. So once we started talking and we started building FIRE, we realized that it is very important for us, for the health of the earth, as you said, for the SDGs to be balanced with each other. But we didn't see anybody making an effort, a combined effort in the blockchain space, because the blockchain space is the future. This is where the world is going. This is where the world is going to go. But there was nobody since it's such a new space and people are connecting to the .com bubble, people are still busy making money, which is great. But nobody is creating sustainable long-term solutions to cater to the health of the world. And as I said, I see the health of the world in us fulfilling those SDGs by 2030. And that's what our technology is doing.
Great. Okay. Pratik, you've been very busy, of course, speaking on the TEDx circuit. I think you've spoken thrice already. In the recent past. How, just describe these efforts in building these coalitions, and communities towards sustainability.
Yeah, so a big part of moving, since we are actually running a movement, if you see a fifth industrial revolution is a movement, and we are using blockchain because it has the power to, it gives the power back to the community. And the whole beautiful piece of blockchain is that the community gets involved in the movement. That's why we have embedded blockchain and sustainability both. And so a big part of our success, the way we are going to create the fifth industrial revolution is when the whole, more than 1 billion people actually come with us and work with us to create this movement and make it a success. So big part is, of course, going and speaking at universities, conferences like TEDx, and a bunch of others, like even here as well. It helps inspire a lot of young folks to action. And a big part of our team that we are building, and we are more than 100 people now, a lot of them have joined us because they believe in the mission and not because, we've raised so much money, or it's not linked to financial capital. It's more on what we are doing as a mission because they want to contribute towards a better world, towards a more sustainable world, and that's where we're moving. So that's why speaking at these conferences across the world becomes very, very important, because it inspires folks to action, and that action is multifold. A, it's obviously getting involved in our mission. B, governments, Fortune 500, celebrities, they've been actively partnering with us. And C, they're getting involved even in our team. They join us in our workforce and help us, build whatever we're trying to build.
Okay, well, time for some closing comments now from both of you. So first, Pratik, Gauri, any closing comments, anything you'd like to further add to what you've been saying, something maybe you missed out on earlier, and also a closing thought for our audiences, final message that you'd like to give our viewers as well watching today.
Yeah, so we'd love to, anybody who's watching, and if you believe that, fifth industrial revolution is the way forward, if you want to join us in our mission, we'd love to have you with us. So that's number one. And second, I think a big message that I've been kind of also promoting related to social entrepreneurship is that people should ideally start up at irrespective of the age, because a lot of people actually, don't start up and then they finally realize that, it's too late. Nothing's too late. And until you believe in yourself, the world will not believe in you. Because when we started, and Pratik will attest to it, when we started about 6 months back, people said, oh, it's a chimerical goal, it's a very lofty goal. How do you think you can be able to build it? And look, in just 6 months, we've ended up building a company which has more than 100 people now. So, so you can do whatever you want to do, but provided you stay true to your mission. So that's my message specifically to young people watching this.
Well, I would add, as I said, CEO has said everything again, but I would add, look at the blockchain space not in just terms of cryptocurrency. Look at what the technology is, because it is truly a very revolutionary technology which is going to run everything in the world, as I said. So I would implore all the young people to understand what we are doing, not just look at the coin and then trade the coin and so on and so forth. If you understand what this actually is, the intersection of two of the biggest industries in the world, impact and blockchain, you'll understand the lofty goal that we're trying to fulfill. I would also implore everybody who's listening to us to come join us in the revolution, because I think we are going to impact 1 billion people, and it is not a surprise that we have 1 billion people in this country. So I would love for the charity to begin at home. So join us in the revolution, and we'll see you guys in different cities around the world. We're beginning a world tour, India tour, initially a world tour starting with India. Join us in Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, and let's begin the conversation.
Yeah, and I'd love to add to this that there are 2-3 ways that you can be involved specifically. One is, of course, if you are looking to raise money, specifically in the Web3 space, then we at Fire Capital, we invest in 2 companies almost every week. So please reach out to us if you're building something cool in Web3 and if it's sustainable, number one. Number two, if you are either a government representative or a Fortune 500 executive, then we are working with a lot of them to actually move the whole companies towards for benefits. So that's the second sweet spot for us. And third, if you want to join us in our mission in-house and we want to join the team, we are actively hiring in all departments, whether it's marketing, HR, finance, technology, we're actively hiring. So please write to us and we'll be happy to have a conversation.
Okay, where do they find you? Why don't you give some details about how they can look you up and contact you?
Yeah, so we are very, very active on social media. Twitter is number one. Please reach out to us on Twitter. Please reach out to us on Instagram, or please reach out to us on LinkedIn. All of these social media help. Or if you want to write to us, then please write to us at contact, CONTACT, at 5irefire.org.
Well, wishing you both all the very best. As you said, the journey has just begun. So good luck for what lies ahead. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you so
to Wilma as well, who joined us earlier.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.